Welcome back to the Big Green Shop. It's time to do a major job on the Mustang. While I explain what I'm doing, let's look at a cat. This car came with a T45 transmission. It's an outdated piece of junk. It shifts like a box of rocks, fifth gear doesn't work at all, it gets stuck in reverse, and you cannot get parts for it anymore. So today we're going to replace it with the Tremec 3650. I picked this one up on Craigslist, and the seller turned out to be Ethan from the Covert Garage YouTube channel. If you like 4.6 Mustangs, you'll enjoy his videos. He's doing things with his engine build that I wish I was allowed to do in CMC. Based on the junkyard rating on the transmission, it's been in at least 2 other cars before now. It seems to work, but there's no way to tell until I install it and take it for a test drive. Deadlifts are a great way to prepare for a transmission swap. With the transmission on the bench, the first thing to do is test the throwout bearing. It's pretty clear that this one needs to be replaced. Removing the old one is very easy. The clutch fork comes off of its ball, and then the fork and the throwout bearing slide off of the transmission input shaft. And finally, remove the transmission from the vehicle. It's actually not too complicated. You need to remove the exhaust pipe and then disconnect the drive shaft. Disconnect the electrical connectors and discover that you had an exhaust leak that shot hot gases towards the driver's side oxygen sensor connector and melted it. And then discover that it also melted the clutch cable. And then discover that your new transmission jack doesn't reach high enough. Use some scrap metal to weld up an extension for the transmission jack. Lower the transmission down and realize that you forgot to remove the shifter. Look at this bunny taking a nap. And finally, remove the transmission from the vehicle. Transmission swaps on this car have always been a pain. It's probably because I have aftermarket engine mounts. I think that they moved the engine slightly to the back, and this created a clearance problem at the transmission. You can see that I haven't fully gotten the input shaft out of the clutch, and there's 2 ears on the top of the transmission bell housing that are colliding with the transmission tunnel. My solution for this problem is some slight adjustment. According to the internet, this is a bolt-on swap. According to reality, it's not. The problem is that the factory transmission brace doesn't work correctly with the new transmission. I've got an option to fix that. The car came with an aftermarket transmission brace. The previous owner never installed it because it didn't clear the aftermarket exhaust. Fortunately, I have welders. With the transmission and drive shaft reinstalled, the last step was to install a new clutch cable. Fortunately, this is a pretty easy process. The only tricky part is when you have to reach under the dashboard to connect the cable end to the clutch quadrant, but it's not that bad. You see how easy that was? The transmission needs new fluid. On a street car, this is an annoying job where you use a pump to pump fluid up to a hole in the side of the transmission. With a race car with no interior, the job becomes a lot easier. My last job was to replace the OEM shifter bushing with one that wasn't a complete pile of garbage. Luckily, I own a lathe. With all of that work done, it's time for a test drive. In the state of Texas, you can buy a 30-day permit. All you have to do is insure the car, pay $30, and you're good to go.
I'm doing 32. The speedometer says 125. I might as well just unplug that thing.
After a few laps around the access road, I was happy with the transmission and felt that I had pushed my luck as far as I could go. I took the car home and parked it, and it's ready for the next event. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.